You spent $100 at the grocery store this week. Here's the part nobody puts on the receipt. Of that $100, the farm that actually grew your food got about $18.50. And it gets sharper. Across everything Americans spend on food, groceries, and restaurants together, the farm's share is 11.8 cents on the dollar. After that farmer pays for seed, fuel, feed, and labor, less than 6 cents of your food dollar is actually theirs to keep. So where do the other 80-some cents go? Everyone has a theory. Greedy grocers, greedy farmers, the government. We pulled the USDA's own food dollar data and followed every penny. Here's the receipt. Start with beef, because everyone feels it. Cattle prices at the farm are up almost 18% in a single year. And the reason is not a boardroom, it is arithmetic. America is running the smallest cattle herd in roughly 70 years. Years of drought dried up the grass these animals eat. Ranchers sold off their breeding cows to cut losses, and here is the part you cannot shortcut. A cow takes about 2 years to become beef. You cannot speed up a calf. Fewer cattle, same hungry country, higher price. When a thing takes 2 years to grow, the price stays high until the herd comes back. That is not greed. That is biology wearing a price tag. Now eggs, and this is the receipt that gives the whole game away. Last year, bird flu wiped out tens of millions of hens, and egg prices shot up almost 22%. The headlines screamed price gouging. This year, with the flocks rebuilt, farm-level egg prices are forecast to fall more than 80%. 80% down. Nobody passed a law. No CEO grew a conscience. The supply came back and the price collapsed. Hold on to that, because it is the tell. If eggs can crash 80% the moment the hens return, then last year's spike was never greed. It was a shortage. The same physics pushing beef up is the physics that just pulled eggs down. Here is the thing that makes the bill feel permanent, because it mostly is. When you hear inflation is cooling, that does not mean prices are coming down. It means they are climbing more slowly. Groceries closed last year up about 3%, and the USDA expects roughly another 2.5% this year, stacked on top of a jump of more than a quarter since 2020. The rate is calming down. The level is locked in. Cooling inflation is the brakes, not reverse. That gap between what people hear and what they pay is exactly the gap this channel exists to close. So if the farmer only sees about 18 cents of your grocery dollar, where do the other 82 cents go? The USDA tracks this every year, and the answer is unglamorous on purpose. Processing takes about 16 cents, turning wheat into bread and cattle into steaks. Getting it to you, the trucks, the warehouses, the store's stocking shelves, takes about 20 cents. And the single biggest slice by far is food service. The restaurants and prepared meals, nearly 39 cents of every food dollar Americans spend. The food did not get more valuable. The handling did. You are not just buying corn. You are buying everyone who touched it on the way to you. Underneath all of it sits one cost that shows up at every stop on the chain: labor. Somebody drives the truck, somebody runs the slicer, somebody stocks the aisle and rings you up, and over the last few years they all got raises because they had to. Add fuel and freight on top, and every mile between the field and your fridge got more expensive at once. Now here's the part that surprises people. The farm's share of your food dollar did not spike. It has been slowly shrinking for decades. The money is not piling up at the farm. It is piling up in the long, boring chain in the middle, the part of the bill we never see and never thank. Which brings us to the question everyone actually wants answered. Are the grocery stores ripping you off? We do not get to settle this with a slogan, so we are putting both receipts on the desk. For the defense, the Grocers' Own Trade Group says supermarkets net about 1.5 cents of profit on every dollar, after taxes, one of the thinnest margins in American business. For the prosecution, the Federal Trade Commission found food retailer markups over cost rose from just over 5% to about 7% across the pandemic. And then, instead of falling back when supply chains healed, they stayed up, elevated and sticky. So who is lying? Neither. Net margin and markup measure two different things, and the FTC was looking hardest at the biggest players with the most power to set the price. The honest verdict? Not a cartoon villain, not an innocent market. A thin-margin business that learned in the chaos that it could hold prices a little higher, and did. So what do you do with all this? Stop watching the outrage and start watching two numbers. One, the size of the cattle herd. When ranchers start rebuilding it, beef relief is on the way, and not 1 second before. Two, that retail markup line. If it finally drifts back toward 5%, you will feel it at the register. And on your own receipt, follow the eggs. The items tied to a shortage, eggs and beef, will swing hard and then come back. The items tied to the long middle, the processing and the freight and the labor, are the ones that stick. Buy the swings when they crash. Do not wait for the sticky stuff to fall, because it mostly will not. So here is what you actually do about it, because spotting the problem is only half a receipt. 4 moves straight from the data you just saw. 1. Buy the swings when they crash. Egg prices are falling more than 80% right now. That is not the time to be cautious. That is the time to stock the fridge. 2. Do not pay the shortage premium. Beef is expensive because the herd is small, but chicken and pork are not on that same cycle. Rotate your protein and you step around the whole problem. 3. Remember where the money goes. A big chunk of that 82 cents past the farm is processing and branding. The store brand is often the same product without the marketing bill you just learned about, so buying it is literally opting out of part of the markup. And 4, the biggest lever of all, food service is nearly 39 cents of every food dollar. Every meal you move from a restaurant back to your own kitchen is the largest single cut you can make to your bill. You cannot fix the cattle herd. You cannot unstick the markup. But you can shop the swings, skip the shortage, dodge the branding, and cook one more night a week. That is the receipt working for you instead of against you. Here is your receipt. Your grocery bill is high for a stack of boring reasons sitting on top of each other. A beef shortage you cannot rush, years of real wage increases through a long supply chain, and a retail markup that crept up and got comfortable. Not one conspiracy, a pile of ordinary forces. And the proof is in the eggs. The thing that crashed